as was much of the boy's language, it was always wonderfully vivid and picturesque. So that Mrs. Carew found herself hand in hand with Pollyanna, trailing down the golden ages at the beck of a glowing-eyed boy. Dimly Mrs. Carew was beginning to realize, too, something of what it must mean to be in spirit and ambition the center of brave deeds and wonderful adventures, while in reality one was only a crippled boy in a wheelchair. But what Mrs. Carew did not realize was the part this crippled boy was beginning to play in her own life. She did not realize how much a matter of course his presence was becoming, nor how interested she now was in finding something new for Jamie to see. Neither did she realize how day by day he was coming to seem to her more and more the lost Jamie, her dead sister's child. As February, March, and April passed, however, and May came, bringing with it the near approach of the date set for Pollyanna's homegoing, Mrs. Carew did suddenly awake to the knowledge of what that homegoing was to mean to her. She was amazed and appalled. Up to now she had, in belief, looked forward with pleasure to the departure of Pollyanna. She had said that once again the house would be quiet, with the glaring sun shut out. Once again she would be at peace, and able to hide herself away from the annoying, tiresome world. Once again she would be free to summon to her aching consciousness all those dear memories of the lost little lad who had so long ago stepped into that vast unknown and closed the door behind him. All this she had believed would be the case when Pollyanna should go home. But now that Pollyanna was really going home, the picture was far different. The quiet house, with the sun shut out, had become one that promised to be gloomy and unbearable. The longed-for peace would be wretched loneliness. And as for her being able to hide herself away from the annoying, tiresome world, and free to summon to her aching consciousness all those dear memories of that lost little lad, just as if anything could blot out those other aching memories of the new Jamie, who yet might be the old Jamie, with his pitiful, pleading eyes. Full well now Mrs. Carew knew that without Pollyanna the house would be empty, but that without the lad Jamie it would be worse than that. To her pride this knowledge was not pleasing. To her heart it was torture, since the boy had twice said that he would not come. For a time, during those last few days of Pollyanna's stay, the struggle was a bitter one, though pride always kept the ascendancy. Then, on what Mrs. Carew knew would be Jamie's last visit, her heart triumphed, and once more she asked Jamie to come and be to her the Jamie that was lost. What she said she never could remember afterwards, but what the boy said she never forgot. After all, it was compassed in 6 short words. For what seemed a long, long minute, his eyes had searched her face. Then to his own had come a transfiguring light as he breathed, "Oh, yes! Why, you care now!" End of chapter 13.